Hello and welcome back to Russ's Movie Corner. My name is Russ, and as you can see, I am sitting in front of my movie corner. I have my Through Faith t-shirt on, my Gospel of John right here, and as you can tell from the frame around me, we're taking down another atheist. This is actually my third attempt to record this third part. I just had too much stuff on my hard drive, so I had to go in and kind of delete a whole bunch of stuff. But, now that we're done, I'm going to try and make sure that when I'm doing this, I'm going to try to make sure that I am... I'm going to try to let the video play for a little bit. I know I'm pausing every couple of seconds, but I'm going to let her get some thoughts out, and then I will answer each one. Okay? And so, when last we left off, she'd been kind of contradicting herself in saying that it was okay for Christian parents to teach the Bible to their children, but it was not okay in education circumstances, like if they're homeschooling or something like that, to be able to have textbooks that teach the Bible as scientific, even though things are starting to come full circle to where they're now proving the Bible true. Okay, so like I said, what I'm going to do is we're going to jump right back into this, and we're going to see about doing this. So yeah, this is part 3 of my debunk of her video called Christian School Textbooks Debunked.
One of my favourite lessons in school, possibly unsurprisingly to the viewer, one of the ones I was the best at was religious studies, religions. And while my religious education was heavily dominated by Christianity, and specifically the Church of England, and, you know, that linked with our history classes and things, but we also learned about Islam, Hinduism, Sikhism. We did study other religions, and they were all presented as equally valid but different beliefs and separate to our science education. I think that's a really terrific thing. I wish I'd taken it further, maybe instead of maths, but that's a complaint for another day. I think teaching those faiths alongside some basic philosophy and ethics is a very good thing for kids. I think if you are a young person who's never heard of, say, Islam, except for something scary on...
Okay. I'll stop it there. We'll come back to that in a minute. So, basically, and I mentioned this on this channel before, I took a course in college called Sacred Books of the World, where we studied the Bible, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, I can't remember Shinto's holy book, the Upanishads, the Hinduism book. We studied them from the standpoint of basically, like, what is it that motivates people to study a religion or to believe in a faith? Normally, people want to believe in something because it gives them some kind of comfort, okay? Gives them some kind of a thought of the afterlife. So that was one of the things we studied. What does that book say about the afterlife? What does this book talk about in terms of where we came from? What does this book talk about when it has to deal with the problem of sin or something like that? And so we studied the Old Testament as part of Judaism, and then we jumped over to the New Testament as part of the Christianity. And then we studied the Quran, and we studied, like I said, we studied the Tao Te Ching, which is Confucianism. We studied the Buddhism's sacred book. We studied the Upanishads, which was Hinduism's book. We studied Shinto's book. There was a couple of other... I think there was like one other we studied. I know there was like 6 or 7 books that we studied. And because I had a ton of Bibles, I just basically brought my Bible with me to class every day. And a lot of people probably would have been like, well, then why didn't you end up like Emma here? I mean, she's, she studied all these religions and she's an atheist. Yeah, because I found out that what's presented in this book right here, the Holy Bible, okay? What's presented in this book is the truth. Because out of all of the ways that different religions teach you how to deal with the problem of sin, there's only one religion that can save you from your sin nature. And that's Jesus Christ. Okay? Muhammad can't save you from your sin nature. Okay? Buddha can't save you from your sin nature. You can't be saved from your sin nature in Hinduism. All you can hope for is that you have enough on the cosmic scales, you have enough good karma to outweigh the bad karma, so that you end up going, when you get reincarnated, you end up going to Atman, and then when you come back to Earth, you end up getting reincarnated into a better life, because they have a caste system. Okay, that's where we get the conception of karma from, is from Buddhism, or not Buddhism, but Hinduism. Hinduism is very, very much on the karma scale. Okay, where if you do good things, if you do good works, then you get good karma. If you do bad works, evil works, you get bad karma. And if you have more bad karma than good karma, then you're reincarnated in a lower caste. If your good karma outweighs your bad karma, then you get reincarnated into a better caste, into a higher caste. But that's never been proven. And Shinto is more like spiritualism, where you spend a lot of time in prayer and meditation, and then if something goes wrong or if something happens, then you have to go to a shrine and you pray, and then once a year they make pilgrimages to these waterfalls where they dress in these ceremonial robes and they stand under the water, like ice cold water that's coming down off of a glacier, and they say prayers while they allow the water to wash away the evil spirits that have been plaguing them. So there's different beliefs around the world, but the only one that can save you from your sin nature, from your original sin nature, is Christianity. Jesus Christ. He's the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through Him. Now, I've heard it said that there are many paths up the mountain. Okay? And if you imagine it, okay, there's a mountain. But halfway up, you reach a ledge. And I'm deadly serious about this. Halfway up, you reach a ledge. And there is no way forward. There is a gigantic chasm between you and the mountain peak. Okay? There is no way to get there. There is only one bridge to the top of the mountain. Because everybody says, oh, see, different religions are just different paths up the mountain to God. No. There is only one true path up the mountain to God. And that's through Jesus Christ. If you do not believe in Him, you're not getting across that chasm. And I'm sorry to say, you're not going to end up in heaven. Because we're all sinners. Okay? I mentioned it before in the last episode. Alright?
The news, you're less likely to understand and accept a Muslim person when you meet them. If you've had an education and understand that there are all kinds of faiths from all over the world, then you're more culturally aware, you're more accepting, and just you have a better understanding of people. And I think that's just inherently a good thing. Likewise.
Okay, so I went to New Zealand in 2010. It was an opportunity for me to actually see another country. I live in the United States, and we don't consider Canada another country, just like we don't consider Mexico another country, because they're our neighbors, okay? Even though you're visiting another country, you're not really getting a passport stamp, you're not really doing a whole lot, you're just kind of, it's like you're going to another state. I mean, especially in Canada, because Canada and the United States are very much alike. So you drive to Canada, we both drive on the same side of the road. The only difference is that they use kilometers instead of miles per hour. But I mean, honestly, it really doesn't make that much of a difference when you're up there. So I had the opportunity to actually go to another country, way out there. Okay? And I had always wanted to go to New Zealand because of this. The Lord of the Rings. Okay? Lord of the Rings was one of the reasons why I wanted to go down and see New Zealand, because that's where they filmed Lord of the Rings. And I was like, dang, this would be so awesome to be able to go down there and do that. And I spent a month in Auckland and a month in Wellington. And then I came back, and I wish I'd stayed the extra month. I really had, because I didn't get to see the South Island. I wanted to go down and visit Twizel and see the Pelennor Fields, tour through the quarry where you could do all that stuff. They allowed you to like put on like actual like props from the movie and like take pictures. Like you could dress up in like Rohan gear, and you can dress up in like Gondor gear, and you can like, you know, stand there and they'll take pictures of you and stuff. I so wanted to do that, but I wasn't able to do it. But that being said, while I was down there, okay, I was in Auckland, and I was just out for a walk one day with the person that I traveled with, and she and I just kind of, you know, we were talking, and then all of a sudden we came by this one building. It was the City Hall. And there was a low wall that was about 3 to 4 feet high around this little courtyard, okay? And around it were all these signs, little signposts that were about the same height as the wall. And on it were pictures. And this was in 2009, early 2010, in Iran. They had an open election. The person, like, basically, like, the person who is in power, and the dictator in power, I don't even remember his name offhand, but anyway, he was, like, dictator for life. And he basically was like, I'm the dictator for life. And the people were like, but we don't like you, and we want a new leader. And he said, okay, I'll tell you what. I'll let you vote, but you have to accept the results of the election no matter what. And the people went, okay, so they voted him out of power, but he went, screw you guys, I'm dictator for life. I get to make up the rules. And so the people started protesting, and so he sent out the jackbooted thugs to go out and start beating people and killing people, and I mean, it was a horrible, horrible time in Iran for the citizenry. So this guy was trying to get anyone to hear and listen and find out what was going on inside of Iran at this time. So he basically got on a plane with like another guy, and they flew down to New Zealand. I don't even know how they ended up in New Zealand. I can't even remember now. It's been so long. But he ends up in New Zealand, and he's standing there, and he's talking, and we come up to this thing, and the guy comes over, you know, hey, how are you doing? I'm like, hey, how are you? And we started talking. We talked for, gosh, probably about an hour and a half. I mean, 2 hours. I mean, we were out there for a long time talking with this guy. And he was phenomenal to talk to. And about halfway, but we were about 30 to 45 minutes into the conversation, and I turned to him and I said, you know what, man? I said, this is crazy. I said, here you are, okay? You're an Iranian man. I said, I'm presuming you're a Muslim. He goes, yes. And I said, okay, I'm a Christian. I said, she's not. She's she's not a Christian, but, you know, I mean, she's kind of agnostic in that respect. And I said, you know, it's funny that, you know, I'm from America. You're from Iran. Here we are in New Zealand, and we're having a normal conversation like nothing's going on. Like there's nothing going on in your country. There's nothing going on in our country. Like there's nothing happening anywhere. It's like we're all just kind of happy, you know? And he goes, I know. And I said, you know, it's kind of funny because like we're taught on our media that like you, as Iranian citizens, want the death of us. Like you want us to die. Like you come out and, you know, you want to kill us. And he goes, I know. You in America, you are all American devils. That's what they tell us in our media. You are American devils. And I said, yes, I know, see? I said, but here we are, just two random guys and a girl just happen to be just meet in Auckland, and we just happen to sit here and talk. And we're talking, and we're having a conversation, and we're all good. Like, you don't care about, you know, like, where I'm from or what my background is. I don't care where you're from or what your background is. And we had this conversation, and it was funny because I actually met Michael Biehn during that time, because he and his wife, I think she still is his wife, Jennifer Blanc, came around, and because I saw him from a distance, I was like, wait a minute, I know that face. And then it suddenly hit me. I was like, because we've been talking, and at this point, I've been talking for about an hour and 10 minutes. So, you know, we were just having this conversation, and I just happened to look over, and I see this guy, and I'm going, he looks really familiar. And son of a gun, it was... Oh, where are you? Where are you? Michael Biehn from T1 Terminator. And so he walked over, and I remember, you know, it's funny how you can feel somebody, you know, kind of standing on, you know, like next to you. And I felt his presence, so I turned and I looked, and I'm like, whoa, hi. I'm like, hi, are you? And he goes, yes, I'm Michael Biehn. I'm like, I thought so. And we talked for, and he and I talked for a while, and then met his wife, Jennifer Blanc, and we talked for probably another 40 minutes, just the four of us, my friend, and then me, and then those two. And, I mean, they were amazing. Like, he was such a down-to-earth guy. Like, you know, if you ever meet him, like, he's so cool. He's just, you know, and he was down there because they had a convention, sci-fi convention, and because he'd been in Aliens, The Abyss, Terminator, you know, all these sci-fi movies, he was there. And what's funny is that I didn't know this at the time, but I think, yeah, this was just before he filmed his cameo role in this movie, Sushi Girl. This came out in 2012, and I met him in 2010. And so when I saw Sushi Girl in 2013, 2014 timeframe, I went, wait a minute. That's almost exactly how he looked when I was in New Zealand. Wow. But anyway, so got a little off tangent there. But the point is, for me, is how you view other people. Because I live in an area that is mostly Christian, okay? Very conservative area, okay? I say mostly Christian because we have been inundated with a lot of secular stuff since about the mid-90s, okay, in this area that I live in. The thing is that we're still a mostly conservative area. There's a lot of people here that are very, very conservative, and they teach very traditional family values. And they also teach, at least most of the time, to respect your elders. At least I was taught that, okay? I don't think kids today are really getting that from their parents anymore, because my parents pounded that into me. You respect authority, you respect people above you, you respect your elders, you know, you respect police, you respect fire, you respect military, you respect, you know, your grandparents, your parents, you respect anyone that's older than you unless they're treating you with disrespect, okay? Because they taught me that respect is earned, okay? Now, if I'd gone down to New Zealand and I met this guy on the street who's an Iranian citizen and he was berating me for being a Christian and not a Muslim, and he had been attacking my faith, I probably would have been a lot more defensive and I wouldn't have this wonderful story to tell. I would have been more like, dude, go back to Iran. What the hell are you doing here? But that didn't happen because I respected his position, he respected my position, we respected each other. And he respected the friend that I was with, and so we respected each other, and we had this kind of a mutual understanding that we were not there to have a war. We were not there to have a religious discussion. We were just there to talk. And that was it. Okay? I didn't have to have... I mean, at this time, I had already studied about the Quran. I'd already studied the sacred books of the world. This was in 2010. That was back in like 2000. So I didn't have to have but I didn't have to have that to know that this man who's from Iran was most likely a Muslim. Okay? I just happened to ask. I just was like, I'm assuming you're a Muslim because you're from Iran. It's a majority Muslim country, and most Christians and other religions are heavily persecuted in those nations. And he was like, yes, I am Muslim. And I didn't berate him for being a Muslim. Like, oh, why do you believe in Islam? I didn't do anything like that. I just happened to sit there and just listen to him. Okay? Because that's what you do. You talk to people, you sit down, you discuss things, you say, what can we do to meet in the middle? And that's the problem that I think a lot of people have today, is a lot of people are like her. They're very opinionated. They're very, oh, it's my way or the highway. And it can't be like that. Okay? You have to have respect for those around you. And that's one of the things that I think has been sorely lacking in especially the U.S. education system. I don't know how it is in the UK, I don't know how it is in Europe, but in the U.S. especially, there has been a shift away from respect your elders. When I was a parapro from 2016 to 2019 in a local school district, I had people literally treating me like literal dirt on the floor, okay? They would call me names. We had one student who would fight us on everything. She fought teachers, she fought students, she fought us paras, she fought the people. The only person that she respected was a vice principal. Okay? But no matter how firm or no matter how much I would try to act like that particular person to try to get her to do things, she would just shut down and just walk away. Okay? And then start calling us names and start doing stuff. And it was this close, okay? And I told my ex-wife this once. I said, I'm about this close to being drill instructor. Literally putting her on the floor, okay? And putting my foot on her throat. Now, I don't mean to say that to be mean to the student. I'm saying that was her attitude. Needed a huge adjustment because her parents thought she was the perfect little angel. Oh, she could do no wrong. No! And it wasn't until one day she was acting up in class, okay? And she was making a huge scene, and the vice principal called her mother in and told her what the hell was going, showed her, this is your daughter, you moron. And then she went, oh my God. But by then it's too friggin' late. She's gone. Because now that is a learned behavior over 15 to 16 years. And you can't get rid of that. You need to stamp that out when they're 3. When they're 2 or 3. That's when you discipline the hell out of them. Okay? To get them to understand that you're an authority figure, not the friend. You're an authority figure. You're their parents. You are there to instruct them in how to become a normal person. And if you're not going to do that, don't have kids. Okay? And I know a lot of people are probably going to hear this and go, oh, you just hate kids. No, I love kids. I love kids. I coached track and field for years, and I never had that problem. I might have had a few prima donnas on the team who thought they were all that in a bag of chips because they could run fairly fast until they lost the first time, and then they'd turn around and go, I lost. And I'd be like, yeah, because you're not working hard. They're working harder than you. You want to do well? Go work hard. Okay? But, and most of the students that I dealt with on a daily basis were wonderful. Wonderful students. They were able to go out, have fun, do things in class, and they had respect. But there were those few, and it wasn't just the students that I had to work with. There were other classes that I was in where the students were completely disrespectful to the teacher. And in my day, if I'd been that disrespectful to a teacher, I'd have been out of that classroom and suspended. But see, the problem is, they don't bother with that anymore because the kids consider the suspension a good thing. Because they get to stay home and play video games all day. Because their parents don't discipline them at home. They don't take away the internet. They don't take away stuff from the kids. They're just like, okay, well, you serve out your suspension, I gotta go to work. I mean, I understand that parents gotta work, but, at least unplug and take the router with you. So that they don't have internet access all day long. So that they sit at home and wonder where the hell they went wrong. And then they have to come back and apologize to the class, to the teacher, to the other thing. I'll tell you this story really quickly, and then we'll jump back in. I was in school. This was elementary school. Okay? I was at a Catholic private school. Okay? And in that Catholic private school, okay, we had, I'll say this. Our class was 99% white. Okay? 95% white. We had one student who was African American in our class. I don't know how many, I didn't count how many, black kids we had in our school. But we had one kid, okay? He was a good guy. In fact, my circle of friends that I had at the school, we would invite him to come play with us, okay? And there were some other kids in the class too that would invite him out to play with us. And this was like 4th grade, I think. This was 4th grade. Okay. You want to tell how you can shatter someone's colorblindness, a kid's colorblindness. Okay? I was pretty well colorblind. I didn't care what color this kid's skin was, okay? We didn't care. None of us did, okay? We treated him like he was one of us, okay? We would go out and do things with him. We would go out and have fun with him. And one day, this one kid got really angry in class. And he called off and called this black kid the N-word. Okay? Now, the black kid was appalled, okay? Like, he was like, what the hell? And not only myself, but like 5 other students in the class wanted to beat the shit out of the kid that said the N-word to the other kid. Okay? Because I had heard it somewhere. I can't remember where I heard it. And I asked my mom, what does this mean? She told me what it means, derogatory term. But I didn't care. Because I didn't see black people that way. Okay? It wasn't until it was absolutely used against someone who was a friend of mine in class that I went, you just didn't fucking do that. Like I said, there were like 5 or 6 of us in the class that were ready to beat the shit out of this kid for calling the other kid the N-word. Okay? And that kid got suspended for like 2 weeks. Then when he came back, he had to stand in front of the class and apologize. Not just to the kid, but to the teacher and to us for saying that. Now fast forward from that time, which was like early 90s, to 2018, and I'm walking through school, and I'm hearing Hispanic kids calling each other Nigga. What's up, my N-word? What's going on, yo? I'm like, stop. They're like, what? I'm like, you don't get to say that. That's not your word. Wait, nobody cares. I'm like, are you sure about that? Because there are black kids on this campus. And if they hear you saying that to each other, they might get a little offended at you. And I mean, this wasn't just like 2 or 3 kids. No, this was like a hallway full of kids. And the teachers are just sitting there completely fucking oblivious. This is the state of our education system. That never would have been tolerated. Okay? Now, I was called Nigga when I was in high school. I was at the same high school, okay? And there were some black kids, and I was the fastest kid on the track team, funnily enough, because I worked my ass off to get there, okay? And the other 3 black guys that were really, really fast, okay, were on the 4x1 team with me. And they were like, hey, yo, what's up, my N-word? I'm like, please don't call me that. So they started calling me Russ Dog, okay? Which, if you're on Board Game Geek, that's how you find me, RussDog99. That's me. Okay? I said, hey, don't call me the N-word. Okay? I understand it's an honorific for you, not for me. Okay? I'm white. Sorry. Okay? I ain't holding with that. Okay? And they respected my wish. They didn't call me that the rest of the season. They called me Russ Dog. Okay? In fact, when I went down, after I got my 5th place in state and I had my medal on and I'm walking down there and I'm doing all my good stuff, I'm walking in, I'm high on the hog. People were like, oh, wow, it's Russ Dog. And it's like, yeah, and it's like, as I was walking with the medal around my neck that day through the hallway, one of those kids came up and was like, my N-word! Ah! He was like hugging me and everything. I'm like, whoa, dude, back off, man. I'm like, hold up, I ain't your N-word. Like, okay, back off, man. And he was like, I'm sorry, my dog, what's up? You know, and it's like, but it's like that if I had called those guys my N-words, I would have gotten beaten into the floor. Because I told them, I said, look, I don't mind you guys call yourselves that. I said, but if you call me that and I try to call you that, other people are going to think there's something going on. Okay? And I'm like, homie, don't play that. Okay? So, that's that. Okay? That's my thing. It's all about respect. If you can treat others with respect, okay, and you have respect for yourself and you have respect for others, others will show you that same respect. But if you can't do that, then you have no business trying to teach your kids how to be, diversity or whatever. It won't matter, okay? And yeah, learning some religions is a good thing. Because when you meet other people, like I didn't meet my first Muslim student until I went off to college. And I went into college and I saw this guy and I'm talking with him and I said I don't remember how we got on. We got on the subject of religion and he goes, oh, are you a Christian? I said, yes. And he goes, oh, I'm a Muslim. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, it wasn't like I was like, oh my God, you guys, caused all these problems. No, it wasn't like that, like I wasn't blaming him for the problems of his, some extremists in his religion. Okay. That's another way that, I think our media is gaslighting people now is that, every time that something happens, they have to bring on apologists, and they have to bring on other people, and then they have to say, oh, we're all not like that. Yeah, we get that. But you know what? Your governments aren't denying it. If your governments would condemn it, okay, just like our government condemns things like the Westboro Baptist Church, okay, when the Westboro Baptist Church comes out and protests things, people go, hey, shut up. You're not part of us. Stop making us look bad. And you'll notice they've gone away. Okay? Why is that? Probably because we got really, really pissed off at them.
There are religious parents who teach their children their faith and their beliefs, presented as an option, presented as what we believe. Some people believe different things. And again, it's completely separate. It's not the same discussion as your science textbooks. As soon as it becomes your science textbooks are a lie because this faith is the only thing that is real, that's when you get cult-like, into conspiracy stuff. That's when you get super dangerous, which is what this ACE curriculum is.
It's funny that she spent like 2 minutes or 3 minutes in the last video basically saying cult-like things. You cannot teach that. You can't have that in our thing. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't teach your kids about this or that. And then she turns around and says, well, I mean, I guess if people want to, have this thing over here where, there might be, something on this end, on this spectrum over here that, some people believe differently and da-da-da-da-da. No. Because if you go to an Islam majority country, okay, they're not teaching their kids evolution. They might be teaching them a form of evolution, but they're not teaching them what you believe, Emma. Okay? They're teaching them that Islam is the only thing. It's that or the highway. And by highway, I mean we're going to send you straight to hell. Okay? You believe or you die. That's what they believe. Literally. Okay? It's the same thing in Hinduism. It's the same thing in Buddhism. Okay? That's how they teach it. And see, the problem is that the people like Emma who believe that there is some kind of higher power out there that they don't have to, to do, and if you believe this, you're just in a cult. Well, you know what? You're sounding awful lot like you're in a cult. Because you're telling us that we can only teach evolution in schools, and that evolution is part of science, even though it really isn't because it's not proven. They've rebranded the word theory to mean, in the context of this, to mean law, even though theory still means theory, but it's proven, but it hasn't been proven, but yet we're considering it a part of science. You just have to accept it, and that's what... And again, it brings me back to Expelled. Okay? This documentary, okay, you need to look at, because it is a fucking religion. Because they won't even consider intelligent design, because to them, intelligent design automatically equates to creation. And so they don't want to open that door, okay? And they don't even want to teach the weaknesses of the theory. Like, we haven't actually produced anything in this fossil record over here to say, yeah, we know this is a fact. They don't. It's a belief. What do we call a belief? Oh, that's right, a religion.
Researchers from University College London found pupils are not exposed to any ideas contrary to the literal interpretation of the Bible until year 9, which is, I want to say, 13, 14? I think
14 to 15. At least in the United States. What does that have to do with anything? Okay? I mean, you're reading a completely biased opinion piece, okay, by people who don't want religion taught in schools. And that is asinine. I mean, you stand there and say, oh, my favorite class was this religious studies where we studied all these things and we did all these things. Okay. But here in the United States, we can't do that outside of a college. And even that is starting to go the way of the dodo because of how liberal colleges are getting nowadays. Okay? Now, I'm sure there's probably still some philosophy departments open out there, but I don't know how many of them have a religious studies subdepartment. Okay? In fact, the college that I went to, I don't even know if it has a religious studies one. But if you don't ground your child's faith, then 75% of students that spend 1 year at college lose their faith. And you know what? It happened to a buddy of mine. Okay? I originally moved, I went to a technical college. I left, moved to the other side of the state where I lived for 4 years, and then I moved back to my hometown. Okay? I moved back here because I had a friend who said, hey, let's start a business. My parents are going to give me $30,000. We can start a business. I said, awesome. I've got game systems. I've got games. I've got movies. I've got board games. I've got shit. Let's go. Let's do this. I bought magic cards. I bought all this stuff. I moved back here. 1 week after I got here, my friend goes, I'm sorry, I'm heading off to Pullman to go to college at WSU, Washington State University. And I said, screw you, asshole. And I'm still a bit bitter about that because that's my fucking dream there, bitch. Okay? It is. I would love to own a game store, okay? People look at me and they're like, you're a Christian? Yeah, I'm a gamer. Hello? I love games, man. But he came back. When he left, he was a Christian. He was going to school or he was going to church every Sunday, and then he took off for school for about a year and a half. Then he came back. And he was an angry agnostic. Every time I would post something on Facebook that had any religious connotation to it, okay, he would just lay into me. Oh, you're posting this crap for this stuff isn't true. I mean, he was pissy, okay? I've seen it firsthand, okay? And I finally sent him a message through email. Because I blocked him on Facebook. And I said, I'm going to send you this one message, and then I'm blocking you on here. Dude, I don't know what the hell happened to you, but you have become an absolute, religion-denying fanatic, and I can't have that kind of toxicity in my life. I said, good luck with life. I hope things work out for you. And then I blocked him. Because, fuck that. Seriously. Okay? And I mean, we'd been friends at that point for close to 8 or 9 years. Okay? We'd met. I'd gone off to college, and then I'd come back, and we met, and we were around the same age, and we met at a local community college, and we started hanging out, we started playing games, we started doing things, and then I left for Perry, and I was gone for 4 years, but then I came back because he was coming up, and we were talking with a gal that lived in Port Townsend, who was actually a part of WSU, that was part of a small business development association. It was called the SBDA, and it was a thing for people who want to become small business owners to be able to start small businesses. It gives them avenues. It tells them how you can apply for loans, how you can maybe try to get a venture capitalist started in your business, how you can do things, how to write a business plan, how to do different things. And my buddy had gotten a business degree from this 2-year college that we went to, and so he was kind of excited to get the business started, and I was like, let's do it. And so I moved down here to start the business, and like I said, 1 week later he decided he was going to go off to college, and when he got back from college, he was an angry agnostic. He had completely... Yeah, I wouldn't say he became a total atheist. That's why I say he's an agnostic, an angry agnostic. But he was so close to being an atheist. Like, everything I would post on Facebook, he would just get on there and just start ripping me. And I finally was like, I can't do this, man. I have to be able to, I want to be able to post the stuff that I want to post, and I don't need people, like, trying to get into an argument every fucking time I post something. Like, at that point, I had discussions with people online about religion, politics, and different stuff like that, and that was happening enough that I didn't need someone that I knew personally trying to pick a fight with me every time. Like, no. Okay? So, Emma, I'm sorry. Okay? But no. There can't be a double standard like that.
Around that age, which those researchers said goes against the legal requirement for schools to offer a broad and balanced science curriculum. Studies...
Broad and balanced for whom? Broad and balanced for whom? I mean, are they learning regular physics? Are they learning chemistry? Or is it only evolution? See, if you're trying to say that broad and balanced is only evolution, you're in a cult. I mean, hell, my mind is way more open than yours is. Or anybody writing this article, or even the people in the UK that are putting out these damn studies. Because a broad and balanced education science curriculum would probably have to include... See, like, here in the United States, when a child enters 9th grade, okay, they go in and they learn earth science the first year. Then they learn biology in 10th grade, and then they learn usually... Oh, I'm trying to remember now. See, we had this stupid test for a couple years while I was there, so I was in a lot of classrooms where people were juniors and they had to retake biology because they didn't pass the exam because they didn't pay attention in the previous year. But I think usually it was like chemistry, and then if they wanted to, they could take physics. Okay? But, like, you had to at least take the earth science and pass it, and the biology and pass it, to consider that a broad and balanced science curriculum. Okay? And there's some other disciplines in there that the kids can learn as well. But most of those were just like electives. They weren't part of the actual science curriculum. So my thing is this. What is, in your opinion, Emma Thorne, a broad and balanced science curriculum? Because if I have a textbook that's teaching me the scientific method, that's teaching me about some earth science and geology, that's teaching me about some biology, that's teaching me about, and I'm talking about biology in the sense that, you're learning about sex characteristics, and you're learning about, the biological process, you're learning about photosynthesis, you're learning about things that we can observe, test, study, and demonstrate. And then you learn some chemistry, and then you learn some physics. What? Is that not broad enough for you? You don't have to have the strict measure of evolution to have a broad and balanced science curriculum. That's bullshit.
Lead author Dr. Jenna Scaramanga told Sky News that pupils who study the curriculum end up misinformed and not able to weigh scientific evidence.
I'd like to say that's probably bullshit. I would like to say that her misinformed and not able to weigh scientific evidence, it's actually right behind my head right now. I'm probably guessing that what that person means is that they asked them some questions about the evolution theory, and they went, the what? Yeah, I don't know much about that. Because there's no scientific evidence for that theory. That's why you have to be careful with these type of people, okay? Because they're saying, the study's lead author, Dr. Jenna Scaramanga, told Sky News pupils who study the curriculum, ACE curriculum, end up, quote, misinformed and not able to weigh scientific evidence. That's crap. I can guarantee you that they probably know better science than some of you. Just like I know more about biology than Simon Dan. I know more about biology, high school biology, by the way, than Professor Dave did in my rebuttal to his 5 questions for Kent Hovind that I did. Okay? He ended up like spouting some nonsense, and I just quickly slapped him down, and I was like, no, this is what it says. This is what it means. And I knew more about it than he did. Okay? Like I said, I'm probably more open-minded than this Dr. Jenna Scaramanga and Emma Thorne here. Okay? Because I have weighed the scientific evidence and found it completely lacking in the terms of evolution. Okay? But when we come back, we will finish this. Well, we'll not finish it, but this is probably going to take a while. Okay? So, anyway, smash that like button, hit subscribe, drop a comment below, let me know what you think of this so far, and as we say, we will see you on the next one.